We have reduced time to 5 minutes. All of you will have an opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to start by saying that since President Ruto took over power, I've never been to State House. I don't intend to. I have never had a one-on-one meeting with him. So the only forum I can use is this one, to tell him what I think he needs to do. The President, I want to tell you, the people you have hired, economic advisors you have hired at State House, and the people you have put at the Treasury are not advisors, but they are economic saboteurs. Please look for economic advisors to help you govern this country for the remaining period of 3 years. I say so because, Mr. Speaker, this idea and perception that is coming across, and I hear it a lot even with my colleagues across the aisle, that for you to grow this economy, for you to narrow the budget deficit, you need to tax Kenyans more. That is, nothing can be further from the truth. Mr. President, ask your team to compare and give you the data. When we passed the finance bill of 2023, what effect has it have on revenue collection? If you compare revenue collection up to 12 months leading to March 2024, the growth in revenue is 13.8%. Compare that to the same period ending March 2023, revenue growth was 14.5%, far much higher than revenue growth for this year, even in a year of election. The reason is simple. You are discouraging tax collection by imposing excessive high taxes which are discouraging business in this country. I heard the leader of majority tell us not to be populist, not to play populism. I want to remind Honorable Kimani Chungwa, that which you call populism, that which you call playing to the gallery, is what has made Kenya Kwanza government, which was just stamping, to climb down and accept what Kenyans had started saying early, and they were not listening. Therefore, we will continue playing populism if that is what is going to make Kenya Kwanza listen to us. Mr. Speaker, this government is giving you with the right hand and taking with another, the left hand. Why do I say so? We are being lied to as a country that now VAT on bread is going to be reduced, which anyway was not there in the first place. You are the ones who came up with this crazy idea. This crazy idea was not in our books. It is this government which came up with a crazy idea, and now they are telling us we should celebrate when we have caught them. It is like someone trying to steal your cow at night. And when you hear the footsteps of the cow and you come out and you shout and make noise, then he comes back with the cow and he tells you you should celebrate because I've not stolen it. We have caught you. The people of Kenya has caught Kenya Kwanza when they wanted to introduce tax that don't exist anywhere in the world, like motor vehicle tax. This government will go down as a motor vehicle tax government. Mr. Speaker, look at what the committee is trying to do. This Committee of Finance. After Kenyans have made noise and you are reducing these taxes, then you come up with a clause at the end, the last paragraph of your report. You are going to introduce a new clause to this bill, which was not there, called road maintenance levy. And you are telling us clearly that you have not been able to collect enough levy in this year than previous year because the prices of fuel was high, and you are proposing to increase it here by 7 shillings, but I'm told, I have information, that you are going to move it to 9 shillings when we come to the Committee of the Whole House. We must reject these attempts to increase the price of petroleum product, because that will increase even the price of electricity, and therefore will increase the cost of production.
Order, Mbadi. Yes, Chairman. What's your point of order and under what standing order? Give him the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I raise standing order number 91. Is it in order for my very learned colleague and senior in the profession to mislead
He's
this
not
House?
learned, he's educated.
Okay. My senior accountant.
Gender Molo, you should defend the profession.
Is it in order, Honorable Speaker, for CPA Bandi, an experienced accountant and a very experienced lawmaker, to say and to inform this House that the report on the finance and national planning is amending the road maintenance levy to increase fuel prices? He should know better that an increase in the fuel prices is contained under regulations on the Kenya Roads Board Act. And therefore, introduction of increase of fuel cannot be done on a finance bill. It is just a matter of simple logic that such an experienced legislator should know, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Badi, finish up. Badi, finish up. Give Mandy the mic.
The mic. Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked that the chair of Finance and Planning Committee does not even understand this report. Let us go to page 3, is it 397 or 377? There is the last paragraph, Mr. Speaker, and I want to read it if you allow me. New clause 66. New clause 66, road maintenance levy. The committee notes that the road maintenance levy is charged on all petroleum. I don't want to read all that. It says, additionally, the committee to help raise sufficient funds to maintain and repair roads across the country, the committee recommends an increase of the levy pursuant to Section 3 of the Road Maintenance Levy Fund Act from 18 shillings to 25 shillings per litre on all petroleum products. Mr. Speaker, new clause means what? You are going to put a new clause.
Order.
You know, Mr. Speaker,
yes, Kimani.
I came to Parliament.
Order. Nothing personal, Bandi.
Honorable
You are a
Speaker,
senior.
Honorable Speaker, this matter was first raised by the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. Wait, no, for Cabinet Secretary for
Order.
Transport.
He has been challenged. Let him
Hold
respond.
on. The committee extensively deliberated on this matter. And it's a matter of fact of law that you cannot bring an amendment to increase fuel through the Kenya Roads Management Act. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, so when the committee will be proposing amendments during the committee of the whole House, we have already submitted our report that this cannot be done on this finance bill, and that is a fact. So, in as much as you know, Honorable Speaker, our friends here, on one hand, they are saying they want to discuss the finance bill, the proposals as they are. On the other hand, they are saying they want to discuss the report. I think they should also declare whether they want to discuss the finance bill with the report as it is.
Order. Next, Murumba Chikati. Order. You have an opportunity to amend this bill at the committee of the whole. So hold your horses and Murumba Chikati. Badi's time is over. Your time is over. Murumba Chikati.
He sent us.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, while supporting this bill, let me also try and look at the needs that are facing our country across the sectors. Mr. Speaker, one of the biggest challenges and why I support this bill.
Yes, order, Chikati. What is out of order, women rep for Migori?
Mr. Speaker,
Under what standing order?
You will get it. I'm a first time. I don't know the standing order well, but you need to know that there are women in the House. Mr. Speaker, kindly balance. If you can't see us, we can walk around. You'll be seeing that there are some female figures in the House.
Are you alleging that Mile Odhiambo is not a woman? Go ahead. Yeah? Chief?
Mr. Speaker, can I continue? Thank you. So, thank you, Mr. Speaker. While supporting this bill, I would like also to examine the needs that are facing our country across different sectors. One of the biggest challenges we've had is with the education sector. The JSS, Mr. Speaker, was started without proper infrastructure. We have a serious problem of infrastructure and manpower in the JSS. It is my hope, Mr. Speaker, that these funds be raised through taxation so that we could be able to support the JSS, which is really struggling to pick up and deliver it to where it is supposed to be. The next area, Mr. Speaker, that I would like to look at is the TVET sector. TVET is critical to the development of our country. But this TVET lacks two things, equipment and manpower. And it is my hope, Mr. Speaker, that some of the funds allocated and which is going to be raised can be able to deliver the TVET sector as required. Access to electricity, Mr. Speaker, in the rural areas is a problem in Kenya. The last mile, which had started in 2013, between 2013 and 2017, stalled along the way. It is my hope that the last mile electricity in rural areas can be able to be spread so that rural Kenya can be able to access electricity just as much as urban centers. Mr. Speaker, access to the health sector in Kenya is important. And therefore, part of this bill proposes to raise money for the social insurance fund, which is critical to access to health in our country. And access to health is also important because it translates to the development of our country in general. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Chikatu, you finished? Yes. What's your point of order? Sorry, I was consulting with the chairman.
Mr. Speaker, there seemed to be a serious level of misrepresentation in the documents that we are looking at. And we trusted that the report by which we are comparing the debate on the bill is accurate, is honest, and is straightforward. It has transpired by the words of the chair of the committee, who has signed the document, that the document did not bear this issue on RMLF. Now, Mr. Speaker, all of us have come here with good faith, and we want to debate this thing in the best of faith as we can. We have even accepted that these issues, although they are going to come in future, in fact, it is like we are anticipating debate, but we have accepted that the chair of the committee will do what is honorable, which will be to make these amendments at the committee stage. But if with this serious misrepresentation, if you work out the maths, you are talking about billions as arising out of that element of raising 9 shillings on RLMF. Now, do we still have good faith that we are dealing with a report which will end up in changing what people are saying out there? Or is it that we are debating this bill, and when we come to the committee stage, then we will be faced with different things?
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, please attend to that so that we can have a debate which is correct and forthright in the House.
I hear you. Mishimbogo. For the point, Kanyuang, I hear you. Mishimbogo.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza niwapatie kongole wa Kenya kwa kusimama kidete na kuweka kilio cha haki katika mswada huu wa fedha. Na niweze kusema kama ulivyosema, tunazungumzia ripoti na tunazungumzia pia huu mswada wenyewe. Na katika ripoti imezungumzia haswa ya kwamba wataweka kifungu 66 waweze kuongeza pesa ile ambayo itakuwa inatoka katika mafuta kutoka shilingi 18 mpaka shilingi 25. Na tunasisitiza hapa ya kwamba jambo hilo halitafanyika, na tukifika Committee of All House jambo hilo lisiweko, kwa sababu iwapo itaongezwa basi itakuwa yale yote ambayo yamerekebishwa ni bure, kwa sababu ukiongeza mafuta umeongeza uchukuzi, umeongeza mambo ya kutengeza bidhaa, umeongeza kila kitu, yale yote itakuwa ni bure. Jambo la pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, hata sisi kama Wakenya iwapo tunataka kukimu bajeti yetu, haiwezi kuwa njia ni moja tu ya kuweka ushuru kwa Wakenya ambao ni walalahoi na wamefuka ukutani. Lazima tubadilishe mbinu, lazima tuwe na mbinu mbadala ya kufufua viwanda, ya kujenga viwanja na kutafuta njia ya kupata mapato ya taifa letu la Kenya kupitia rasilimali nyingi ambazo tunazo katika taifa la Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, niweze kusema pia haya mambo ya mazingira, kuongeza kodi ya mazingira, na tumezungumzia ya kwamba sodo na nepi kuwa zinapatikana na wameambiwa ziko China wazingoje zije. Hiyo ni kumaanisha hatuna uwezo thabiti wa kuweza kuwa na sodo, na hivyo basi afya ya kina mama haswa katika mambo ya hedhi itakuwa na matatizo iwapo tutakuwa tumeongeza jambo kama hili. Jambo la pili, mambo ya mafuta ya kutoka kwenye miti na kutoka kwa wanyama, ile Kiingereza tunasema edible oil. Kwa nini ipunguzwe na isitolewe kabisa, isiwekwe sufuri ushuru? Hii ni kitu ambacho kinatumika, bidhaa inatumika na Wakenya wengi wale walalahoi. Kwa hivyo jambo hili lazima tulitowe. Jambo jingine, nasikitika sana, sijui ni nani ametoa mambo haya ama kupeana mawaidha ya kuweka mambo ya ushuru ya mkate na mambo ya ushuru ya ile mifuko ya majani. Jamani, yule ambaye alikuwa ametoa mawaidha hayo tutatoka tumwambie shetani ashindwe, kwa sababu sisi wa Kenya mkate twaupenda, twautumia sana, na chai ndio kiamsha kinywa chetu. Nataka niseme pia Mheshimiwa Spika, hata ukiangalia katika huu mswada kuna mambo mengine ambayo yamejificha ambayo yanatuathiri sana, kama vile imezungumzia stove zile za kupika. Stovu zile za kupika ni stovu ambazo Wakenya wengi ambao hawawezi kununua meko za kutumia gesi wanatumia stovu, na hizo pia zimeongezwa ushuru. Ukiangalia tunapigana na janga la malaria, leo tunaambiwa ile tunaita Kiingereza mosquito repellent, ama ile dawa ya kujipaka ili kusudi watu wasiumwe na mbu na kuleta malaria, yes, pia imeongezwa ushuru.
Order, Millie Odhiambo, what is the issue? Under what standing order?
Mr. Speaker, under standing order 1.
No, it's
Mr.
not
Speaker,
available.
I'll explain, Mr. Speaker.
Standing
if you give me...
One is not available to you. Millie, I have the school here and I'm going to acknowledge them, if that is what you want to raise. And it's out of order for you to shoot into the debate on finance bill to mention a school from Mfangano. Take your seat. Take your seat.
Mheshimiwa Spika, bidhaa zile ambazo zinatoka nje ambazo tunasema tutaziwekea ushuru, lazima tuwe waangalifu, tusije tukaweka ushuru katika bidhaa za kutoka nje ambazo sisi kama taifa bado hatujatengeza viwanda vya kutosha, kama zile clinkers. Sasa hivi tunajenga manyumba ya bei nafuu na tunatumia material nyingi sana, na hivi basi hatuna viwanda vya kutosha vya kutengeza bidhaa kama hizi. Kwa hivyo lazima tuangalie wakati mwafaka ambao tunaweza kuongeza ushuru kwa bidhaa za kutoka nje, wakati tumetimiza na tumekuwa na uwezo kama taifa la Kenya. Vile vile pia nataka niseme ya kwamba mambo ya magari, ambapo magari tulikuwa tunaambiwa ya kwamba ni mapato, na tulipoambiwa ni mapato ya kwamba tuweze kutoa ushuru. Nataka kusema magari si mapato. Magari ni ile tunasema asset kwa Kiswahili, rasilimali, na huwezi kumtoza mtu ushuru katika rasilimali. Jamani, tupunguze matumizi ya kiolela katika maofisi yetu. Ofisi ya naibu wa rais inataka kufanyiwa marekebisho, mabilioni ya mapesa. Ukiangalia bei ya kununua hiyo ofisi na bei ya marekebisho ni tofauti sana. Lazima tuangalie ufujaji wa pesa tuweze kusaidia taifa la Kenya, lakini tusitegemee mambo ya ushuru peke yake tukaona tunaweza kukimu bajeti yetu. Nataka niseme sisi kama Wakenya tuendelee kusimama kidete, tusingoje wanasiasa tunapoona mambo yanatukwaza, haswa haya ya kiuchumi. Tusimame sisi wenyewe kidete, tuweze kusikia sauti zetu zikizungumziwa. Jambo jingine ambalo ningetaka pia kuzungumzia, niseme ya kwamba tuweze pia
Honorable members, before I give the next member, I want to acknowledge in the public gallery Gethsemane Gardens Academy from Suba North, Homa Bay. On behalf of the House and myself, I welcome the students and their teachers to the House of Parliament. Thank you. Wanjiku Muya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support the Finance Bill 2024 because the proposal from Nyandarua County and Kipipiri have been heard. And I want to confirm to the farmers from Kipipiri that their potatoes will not be taxed. But having said that, Honorable Speaker, as the chair of regional integration, I want to put information to the House that as EAC we are a community. And I want to discourage members from debating and indicating that the bill is against the eggs from Uganda. That is not the essence of having a community. We can debate it nicely. The eggs from every region within the community are allowed. You can have them from Uganda. So constrain debating on that matter, because as long as you pay, but let us discourage to discuss that the eggs from Uganda, the onions from Tanzania. We are a community, we can also sell to them. Honorable Speaker, I want this House to be honest to the Kenyans and more to the Gen Z. Honorable Speaker, we have a budget. And because many members have debated on the issues that were raised by Kenyans, and I want to congratulate the committee by the very able chair, Honorable Kuria, because they had the proposal of Kenyans on vehicle, on agriculture, on all those things that have been debated. I want to restrain myself from debating on the same and seek that this House become honest for once to the Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, we must ask ourselves, do we need a budget? Of course, yes, we need a budget. How do we finance the budget? Honorable Speaker, the Council of Governors have been camping at State House asking for more funds. Honorable Speaker, these members, led by myself, have been camping at Honorable C.S. Murkomen asking for roads. Honorable Speaker, these members have been speaking of JSS teachers, asking for billions to pay them. These members have been speaking for the old, asking for more than 40 billions to pay the senior citizens. And so, it beats all the logics that we can join the public in the gallery and the bloggers and Jay-Z, and instead of educating them that even if you go to the road, you can only go to the road, but then you don't need to have the roads in your constituency. Instead of us as members informing the public that we need money, 600 billion for education, we are supporting the public and raising the emotions, which in my view, I think it is dishonest. It is honest to educate the public that the county governors were camping at State House because the citizens, in fact, is a cycle, Honorable Speaker, the citizens back home were also camping at the governor's residence and their offices asking for projects. Why we go to Murkomen is because our citizens also come to our offices, our phones, and our homes, also asking for the project. So it is a whole cycle. And somehow the budget is also political. You need to do a road in your constituency. The governors need to do their project in their counties. Where will the president get the money? The money has to be raised. And then there is no need of raising emotions and trying to support the bloggers who are only saying reject the finance bill, and yet they are not saying reject the roads in our constituency. Honorable Speaker, I want to put a point about the treasury boards. As much as we want to defend the locals, we also need money, and no village can stay alone. We also need money from investors. I have seen that the Treasury Board, particularly the infrastructure, and I'll be moving an amendment I have already put possibly to your office or the clerk. It will be charged effective July 5%, while for investors will be charged 15%. I feel this is very high, on the very high side, and for purpose of continuity of government earning money and quick money from treasury boards, particularly the infrastructure, it is my hope that my amendment and those who support me will go through. Honorable Speaker, without so much, I just want to insist that this House be honest. We need budget, and budget.
Thank you, Muya. Honorable members, I want to repeat what I order. Those who intend to file amendments, remember we said by 1 o'clock tomorrow, you must have filed your amendments. Beyond that, they will be rejected. Okay? Babo Wino.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose the bill, the Finance Bill 2425, based on the following grounds. That number one, Mr. Speaker, there was anger that was expressed yesterday on the streets coming from Kenyans, and to be specific, the Gen Z, the Generation Z revolution that started yesterday reminds me, Mr. Speaker, of number one, the revolution that took place in China, the Chinese Revolution, that was also known as the Peasant Revolution or the Mamamboga Revolution, that occurred in the year 1949, which was headed by a gentleman called Chairman Mao Zedong, together with Deng Xiaoping. Mr. Speaker, the revolution that started yesterday also reminds me of the Russian Revolution, which was the Bolshevik Revolution that took place in 1917 under the leadership of Vladimir Lenin and Joseph Stalin. It further reminds me, Mr. Speaker, of the Bourbon Restoration in France, the French Revolution that took place in the year 1789, that was headed by Maximilien Robespierre, together with Napoleon Bonaparte, the military genius. Mr. Speaker, that revolution advocated for three things. Number one, equality and fraternity. Can you just shut up as I pump knowledge in your empty mind?
Kagombe. Baba, will you not take your seat? Yes, give Kagombe the...
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the member for Embakasi East,
what is out of order,
is beating drums of war. It is very unfortunate to use this forum, Mr. Speaker.
Standing order, Kagombe.
The relevance of what the member of parliament is speaking about is not relevant to the bill that we're discussing here. What he's doing is taking an opportunity to use this floor to beat drums of war in this country. We are at a very bad moment at the moment, at this time, and we cannot allow that to happen on this floor, on the floor of this house, Mr. Speaker.
Go on.
Mr. Speaker, you know I don't like responding to fools.
Order.
The Bible says in the
Can
book
you
of,
withdraw that?
it's
There are
in the
no
book,
fools in this house.
in the book of Proverbs 26, the Bible says, Mr. Speaker, that never respond to a fool because the...
Order, Babu Wino. Order, Babu Wino. In this house, order members, whether a member represents fishermen from the shores of the lake or the sea, whether a member represents herdsmen, whether a member is a professor, you are all honorable members of this house. And there are no fools in this house. And I want to warn you, Babu Wino, respect begets respect. Respect your colleagues, they will respect you. There are no fools here. Can you withdraw and apologize?
Mr. Speaker, a fool is somebody who does not understand something.
Order. Order. Order, Babu
If I
Wino.
think that somebody is a fool, why should...
Order. Order, Babu Wino. You withdraw and apologize, or I truncate the mic and give the floor to somebody else. Give him the mic. Yes, Babu.
I withdraw.
And apologize.
I don't apologize, Mr. Speaker.
Withdraw and apologize.
You can give the mic to somebody else, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
And I don't withdraw.
Okay, truncate the mic. Mutunga. Yes, Chonga. Give the mic to Chonga.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you made a statement before the House went for lunch that people should not even need to remove their cards from the sockets. Mr. Speaker,
They didn't.
I went there, Mr. Speaker, after lunch I was number 7. When I came here, I was told I'm still number 7. Right now, the number of members who have contributed are more than 30, Mr. Speaker. So I wanted to know whether indeed you are still going with the list, or maybe you have changed the rules so that those who may not have a chance to speak can do something else.
Honorable Chonga, utaongea, hakuna shida. Honorable members, as you debate this, I want to repeat this. You know, there are people with various levels of education, various levels of knowledge, various levels of wealth, and many other things. Humility costs nothing. Respect costs nothing. The fact that somebody has said something you don't like doesn't make him a fool. The fact that somebody has said something you don't agree with doesn't make him a fool. Enda soma kitabu kiliandikwa na Mwalimu Nyerere akifafanua tofauti ya pumbavu na mjinga na utaelewa. Endelea, Bwana Mutunga.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to this debate. Honourable Speaker, I stand to support the adoption of the committee report towards the amendments to the finance bill. Honourable Speaker, Kenyans have spoken and Kenyans have been heard. Many are times when you say that Kenyans are not heard, but this time around, Honourable Speaker, Kenyans have been heard and they have significantly changed the content and context of this bill. Honourable Speaker, the importance of the finance bill is that it gives the government the ability and the force and the mandate to support development, to support the running of the government itself. This is done by this House because we are mandated by the Constitution under Article 114 to impose or vary the different rates and taxes that different individuals and institutions do pay. Honourable Speaker, many speakers have spoken to revenue generation by governments. Government can get money from international trade, which we are not doing a lot. International trade has not been one way. It's not importation. A lot more of exportation so that we may be able to earn foreign exchange and even make money as a government through taxes. Strengthening of the shilling is another one, but I want to dwell a lot more on the corporate and individual taxes. Honestly, this is the main source of income for this country, and therefore for us to be able to even engage in manufacturing, for us to be able to diversify the sources of revenue for our economy, we must be able to get money to invest. And the only way we can get this money is through taxation. Honourable Speaker, imposition of taxes sometimes will help us in various ways. Let me look specifically at the import substitution. Honourable Speaker, say for the foreign exchange increase, the imposition of the taxes also increases the possibilities for employment. We have very many Kenyans out there who are not employed, and we need to have them employed by creating possibilities for them. There are specific provisions within the report which basically vary the taxes. For instance, excise duty on potatoes, onions, and table eggs. I would like to dwell on this for 1 minute, Honourable Speaker. When we import potatoes, we make sure that our farmers do not produce. When we import onions, we export labor for our farmers. We bar them from producing. When we import eggs, for the table eggs, we make sure that our poultry farmers do not have market or they cannot sell competitively. So, Honourable Speaker, barring those ones through taxation on position of import duty is important. But there is a specific egg that is excluded, and this is the viable egg, which is basically used for production of day-old chicks. That is an input. It is not for the table. Honourable Speaker, eco levy has been introduced in some of the issues, and I want to specifically dwell on the tires. Honourable Speaker, many of the people speaking in the social media are alluding to the fact that tires especially for the wheelbarrow, for the motorbikes and others have a tax. The tax has been removed, and it is important for Kenyans to know that the motorcycles that have got a duty on them and those that are fully imported when they are fully assembled, not the ones that are assembled in Kenya. Specifically on agriculture, Honourable Speaker, the VAT on cane transportation has been waived off, and this is important for purposes of reducing cost to the farmers. Let me talk about the issue of alcoholic beverages. Honourable Speaker, the movement from levying alcohol on quantity and specifically going to the alcohol content is important because it will bar our young people from engaging in very concentrated alcoholic substances. Honourable Speaker, there has been an exemption of duty, a proposal for exemption of duty within this report for the beverages originating from sorghum, millet, and cassava. What this does, Honourable Speaker, is basically to improve the production of these particular commodities and therefore encourage production of other beverages through them. Honourable Speaker, there has been improvement within the report of disposable income. This is as a result of, for instance, levying 5% of the gross income on the per diems as the waiver, which will increase the disposable income as opposed to the previous 2,000. Honourable Speaker, the inclusion of shift and the housing levy as statutory deductions also increases the disposable income. The final one, Honourable Speaker, I want to talk about is the motor vehicle circulation levy. This was a major issue, and I had also proposed to bring an amendment on this particular issue, but I'm glad the report recognized that and did away with it. Honourable Speaker, this report is balanced. We must raise some money. We cannot reduce everything. We cannot remove everything. We should be able.
Thank you. Honorable Oundo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. It has been a long wait, but it's worth it for the people of Funyula and the people of Samia. Honorable Speaker, on the onset, a finance bill is meant to cure two issues: to make proposals for revenue raising for that particular financial year, and to make administrative changes to existing financial or revenue raising measures and taxes of that kind of a nature. Honorable Speaker, as I stand here today, I join the Kenyans all over the country who have been very unequivocal that they reject this particular bill. And they reject it emphatically, and they have got very valid reasons to reject it, Honorable Speaker. I'm here to represent the people of Funyula because there's an established principle, no taxation without representation. So, Honorable Speaker, I'm here on behalf of the people, and I state what the people of Kenya have told me. Honorable Speaker, just perusing through the draconian measures contained in this bill, Honorable Speaker, clearly indicates that drafters of the bill are sadists, are impervious to the suffering of the people of Kenya, and I call upon the cabal and the coteria that presented this bill to go and soul search and find out, are they part of the Kenyan people or they are part of the oppressors? Honorable Speaker, in all fairness, how would you impose an income tax on an asset? How? I mean, a car is an asset. It's not an income generating activity. How do you impose income tax on an asset? Honorable Speaker, how do you impose income tax on the very basic things? Bread, sanitary pads, whatever they call it. In our days, they used to call them napkins. Nowadays are called pampers. During our days when we were parents, they were called napkins. How do you impose VAT and increase the cost of all those things in such a draconian manner in hard times, Honorable Speaker? Honorable Speaker, they will pontificate that they have made changes to the bill, that the benevolence of the Almighty, whether the Almighty God or whatever, has instructed them to make changes to the bill. Honorable Speaker, and I still hold my position that a committee report does not navigate or does not negate a bill. It's just a committee report. It can either be carried or it can be failed. So I want to tell Kenyans wherever you are, this is a red herring, this is a gimmick, do not fall onto it. Be relentless in your push, be relentless on harassing your MPs to make sure they protect the rights and interests of the Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as we stand here, we have passed two finance bills under this regime. We have passed this second one, we passed the first one, this second one, under this regime. They keep on gloating that we have reduced the fiscal deficit. That from 6 point something to 3 point something, Honorable Speaker. And I want Kenyans to understand this. Any reduction in fiscal deficit must be commensurate with improvement in GDP growth rate. Honorable Speaker, the GDP growth of Kenya has stagnated at 5%. And the World Bank estimates this year indicates likewise it will remain the same at 5%. So the so-called fiscal reduction of fiscal deficit is a paper story, has no impact at all on the ground. Honorable Speaker, we need to be very careful. This is a country of close to 50 million Kenyans, and all Kenyans must be treated equally without discrimination. Honorable Speaker, imposing a tax or some kind of raw material, clinker, so that you benefit, you improve the economic value of a particular player in the industry is unconstitutional and is extremely unfair. As I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I really want to send a message to the President. And if he has read the book of Chinua Achebe, Okonkwo was told, this boy has called you father, don't kill him. He went ahead and killed him because he has been told by customs to kill him. IMF, Brinted Wood, and the USA is telling you to kill Kenyans, but the Kenyans are crying, the blood of Kenyans will remain in your hands. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I oppose.
Naomi Wako.
I have the mics.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for allowing me to add my voice to this very important debate on Finance Bill 2024-2025. And from the onset, I confirm that I support and also congratulate the committee led by Kimani, as he has done very well together with his committee, and also having gone through the report. I congratulate the committee because they have put into consideration the many concerns that Kenyans have brought through public participation. As I say that, Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that our young people have been on the streets for the last few days, and some of them have gone through challenges because of that. Others have been injured, and that is just because somebody somewhere is spreading lies, talking a lot of lies to the nation and misleading the nation. It is unfortunate that today we are here debating on finance bill and also telling Kenyans how that finance bill will help us to facilitate the budget that we passed last week. Honorable Speaker, I have been visiting some of the ministries, and anytime you go to the Ministry of Transport, you go to Health, and you go to different ministries, you find our honorable members, colleagues, waiting to be served and demanding for projects to be taken to their constituencies. And unfortunately today, they are here fighting the methods of financing our budget and supporting the budgets they have been pushing for. When some of us are here in the House and debating and trying to push the agenda for the government, they are moving from one place to the other, looking for opportunities to do businesses in the ministries and with the Kenyans, and today they are here fighting and misleading Kenyans. Honorable Speaker, the most important thing that we can do today, it is to help our government to be self-reliant. And by doing that, we will be able to reduce the dependence on foreign assistance, the finances that we receive from there. When we took over this government, it is quite clear that the economy was very bad. But today, we are not there. Honorable Speaker, I support this finance bill because for the first time, you remember very well that pastoralists lost their livestock, 80% of our livestock. And for the first time, 1 billion has been put in the budget, which this finance bill will support. For the first time, the school feeding program has been well catered for. For the first time, the teachers, 20,000 teachers will be added, and again, after employing 50,000 teachers. Honorable Speaker, the government is quite focused, and that is why, and listening to the people, we have that listening here. The government has been listening through public participation, and that is why today we are saying 16% VAT on bread has been removed. VAT on transport, on sugar, and has been removed. And no increase on mobile money transfer. It remains 15%. And these are some of the things that activists keep cheating people and spreading lies and making our young people to go on the street. My advice to people is, let us support this and see the fruits, because by passing false information to people, we will not help them. But by passing this, then we'll be able to support our budget and facilitate different ministries so that we can bring the transformation that we want. I fully support, and let us make sure that Kenya is self-reliant. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Susan Kiamba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to also contribute to this very important bill. First and foremost, I think it's prudent for Kenya to compare itself with our neighbors in terms of the tax rate. But I think it is evident that as we compare ourselves with other peoples in the region who are taxing their people much more than us, we have to look at the local context where our Kenyans are. Kenyans now are economically at their knees, very vulnerable. And anybody attempting to add anything on top of the suffering Kenyans, it will not actually do justice. So I think it is very dishonest for us to compare ourselves or to get inputs from international financiers and imagine that Kenya is in the same situation. It's important to realize that since COVID-19, the economy of Kenya has not picked up. And having to tax Kenyans higher than that is making them not only vulnerable, but actually not being in a position to survive. Secondly, this debt we have been talking about, everybody says We are taxing them because we have to pay our debt. And I say right, we have to pay our debt. But this debt has been acquired over a period of 61 years. You cannot acquire debt in 61 years and you want to do away with the debt in 2 years. That means overburdening the people. We have to be strategic in dealing with the debt. We are not dying tomorrow as Kenyans. We need to pay the debt in a manner that enables our people to continue to grow. So when I hear this passion of wanting to tax Kenyans so that we pay a debt, we need to recognize that this debt is very old. And we need to be strategic and then deal with the debt for the next 5-7 years. And that way will allow our Kenyans to survive. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, it is very shocking, even since Finance Bill 2023, we are borrowing money to do reproductive activities. We say we are poor, we need money. But the little money we get, we go and put in housing. We go and put in health care. While I accept these valuable things, but you cannot have the few coins you have, instead of putting them in something productive, you put the small coins in a dead hole. When you build a house, when will it generate income so that we collect taxes? I think we need to sit down and have a finance bill that is strategic, enabling, and can take Kenya forward. We cannot have a finance bill where the little money we have, we are actually putting them in a hole. When we go and build everybody a house, it is a good thing, but is it right for us now? The small money we have, we must put it in a reproductive activity. And I do not see anything like that in this finance bill. Honorable Speaker, I think when we did Finance Bill 2023, Kenyans had very many problems. The Finance Bill 23, we have not even seen the fruits. People are still in burden. They are still overburdened. We've never seen the fruits. I think it is prudent. I think it is prudent to wait for the interventions we did, to wait and see where the kind of fruits we are getting, so that the finance bills are progressive, building from each other. We should not just be very passionate of collecting taxes without enabling the Kenyans to grow. Let's look like some of the investment. One of the very strategic projects in Finance Bill 2023 was the Hustler Fund. Where are we in Hustler Fund? Nowhere. Getting money, putting in horse, and then you ask Kenyans to give more money. From where? You cannot milk a cow that is eating nothing. Amen. We need the Kenyan citizen to be fed with something to promote the economy so as to milk. How do you milk a dead cow? The Kenyan citizen is dead. We need interventions that enable the Kenyan person to thrive. So I think it doesn't make any sense to think of taxing the Kenyan when they are actually a dead cow.
Order, Kiamba, there's a point
Honorable
of order.
Speaker.
Order, there's a point of order. Yes, Wanjiku Muya. What is your point of order and what standing order? Give her the mic.
Honorable Speaker, I'm standing on point of order number 91. Is the member in order to state to the House and mislead the nation that there is no hustler fund? Can she substantiate? And secondly, for the member to say that there is no fruits and she is even earning the salary herself. And CDF.
Kiamba, your time is up. Your time is up. John Paul Mwirigi. Your time is up. John Paul Mwirigi.
Check. Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise also to contribute on this motion, on this bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Kenyan citizens, Madam Speaker, sent us to this house, Madam Speaker, to Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I rise to contribute on this bill. And Madam Speaker, this bill has come on the right, at the right time, Madam Speaker. I remember 2 weeks ago, Madam Speaker, we were in this house when we were passing the budget, Madam Speaker. And this finance bill, Madam Speaker, is targeting, Madam Speaker, to fund the budget which we passed in this house, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Kenyans have been fed with lies, Madam Speaker, that there are some taxes which have been introduced, Madam Speaker, which will harm them, Madam Speaker. But I rise to inform them that the tax which they are being informed that for the brand, Madam Speaker, the vehicle tax, the cooking oil, Madam Speaker, the MPS, Madam Speaker. Yesterday, Madam Speaker, we stood and said that the Kenyans have sent us, Madam Speaker, and all of these were dropped, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this finance bill, Madam Speaker, is targeting to improve the economy of this country, Madam Speaker, whereby the contribution which will be made or the taxes which will be collected through this finance bill, Madam Speaker, will help to improve the infrastructure of this country, Madam Speaker. I am a happy member of Parliament, Madam Speaker, because my constituency, Mr. Speaker, will benefit with 50 million, Madam Speaker, to electrify, Madam Speaker, my villages within this constituency of Mutembei South, Madam Speaker. Number two, Madam Speaker, my NGCDF, Madam Speaker, is going to be ended with 10 billion, Madam Speaker, whereby at least I will receive more than 30 million, Madam Speaker, on top of what I normally receive annually, Madam Speaker. These funds also will help me, Madam Speaker, to do more work for my people, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am a happy person since most of my farmers, Madam Speaker, they normally farm, but their produce, Madam Speaker, does not reach the market, Madam Speaker. This is because most of the people have invested in importing things from outside, Madam Speaker. But through the imposition of tax from those imported goods, Madam Speaker, this will see that the farmers, Madam Speaker, who normally farm canola and sunflower, Madam Speaker, will have a better market within the country, Madam Speaker, since the cooking or the edible oil, Madam Speaker, from within will be used to improve our industries, Madam Speaker. Also, Madam Speaker, on the poultry farming, Madam Speaker, my farmers, because most of them, Madam Speaker, normally farm poultry, Madam Speaker, the imposition of tax on the imported eggs, Madam Speaker, will see them access the market well, since the internally produced eggs, Madam Speaker, will be readily available in the market, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, also, I am a happy person since when during the weekend, Madam Speaker, most of my people sent me to reject, Madam Speaker, the imposition of the tax on the brand, Madam Speaker. And I would like to inform them that, Madam Speaker, this tax is not there, Madam Speaker. With all those, Madam Speaker, I beg to support. Thank you.
The Honorable Member for Bamachoge, Borobu, Honorable Obadia Birongo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for affording me the opportunity to address this House. I was going to address the issue of the proposal by the government to increase the RML from 18 to 25, but thankfully the chairperson for the Committee for Finance and National Planning actually said that there is no such thing in the bill. Because of that, I am going to switch my attention to the events of yesterday. Madam Speaker, yesterday our adoring Generation Z woke the government from deep slumber. Our very audacious Generation Z decided that they are going to make their voices heard. Madam Speaker, I thought of words to be able to salute them on X, but my words failed me. Madam Speaker, I was wondering, since I didn't do them justice on X yesterday, and this is the point at which I want to ask for the attention of every member here, because this generation is our future. And as I thought about what we usually do when the visitors of our speaker seated in the speaker's gallery are accorded, I cannot help to note that the speaker actually beams with happiness whenever we acknowledge her visitors in the speaker's gallery. It is in the same vein. It is in the same vein that I wanted all of us, in saluting what Action Gen Z did yesterday, and noting that, Madam Speaker, that Gen Z actually represent the best of our country, and that yesterday they were only exercising what is very clearly in our Constitution, Article 1.
Yes, you may proceed, because I hear it's your maiden speech. So.
Now, thank you so much. And so in honor of Gen Z action yesterday, I wanted to ask all of us to stamp our feet in recognition of what they did yesterday, because it was all constitutional. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank you.
The Honorable Member for Githunguri.
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to give my contribution on the finance bill proposal, which has been tabled in this House. Madam Speaker, for a long time, finance bill has not been a subject of discussion in this country. But for the last 1.5 years, Kenyans have awakened to the issues that are there in finance bill and have made it a public discussion. Madam Speaker, I had attempted to speak earlier on in the floor because I am a user of sanitary towels. And as a user, as a mother, as a woman leader, I am greatly concerned that the price of sanitary towels and diapers is not only going to affect the mothers and the users of those items, but is going to affect the budget of individual homes. I have interrogated the proposal of the finance bill very deeply, Madam Speaker, and I've realized that there are promises flying around. The excise duty that was proposed on sanitary towels and diapers has been removed. Or rather, there is a recommendation from the Committee of Finance to remove excise duty on imported sanitary towels and diapers. However, Madam Speaker, the raw materials that are being used by local manufacturers are subjected to VAT. And if those raw materials are going to continue being subjected to VAT, the manufacturers will have no choice but to pass the cost of that VAT to the users. And therefore, Madam Speaker, if we do not remove VAT on raw materials that are making sanitary towels in Kenya for local manufacturers, we are still going to have expensive sanitary towels and diapers. Madam Speaker, currently there are children who do not go to school when they are on menses because they cannot afford sanitary towels. If we add extra price on cost of sanitary towels, we are going to deter lives of many girls who can become powerful women in this country. Madam Speaker, in the spirit of making laws, we cannot make laws to obscure other laws. I have gone through the finance bill proposal and have noted that there are various proposals that have been put in the finance proposal that are going to deter us from implementing the laws we have made previously in this House. Madam Speaker, in the respect of that, I note that we have agreed a proposal to amend the Data Protection Act. Data Protection Act of 2019 is a law that we made in the previous parliament to protect our personal data. I know members of this House, I included, have received numerous messages from members of public. Where they got our numbers from, I don't know. Whereas we cannot blame them because maybe they are operating from a situation of pressure. It is against the law to share members' numbers. As they do that, Madam Speaker, we are protected by the law. What about if we allow us to amend that law and allow anybody to access our personal data, including financial data? And therefore, Madam Speaker, I am of the opinion that we must be very careful so that you don't make laws that are going to make other laws not operational. Madam Speaker, I represent farmers. And I would have been very excited to hear that just like we have given VAT exemption to the transportation of sugarcane, which I am happy about, we also provide the same provision for the farmers who transport milk, who transport avocados, who transport macadamia, tea leaves, and coffee. Madam Speaker, I understand that we want to make sure that we lower the cost of operation for sugar millers so that they can lower the cost of final product to us, which is sugar that we consume in our tea. But we also consume milk, and we also want to lower the cost of production of milk so that we can have affordable a cup of tea. And therefore, I would request this House to consider to also provide and extend the same treatment to my farmers in Githunguri. With those very many remarks that I have made and I have observed, I am still not convinced that I should support.
The Honorable Member for Homa Bay. The Honorable Member for Homa Bay.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to also debate and make contributions on this finance bill. Madam Speaker, I rise to, from the beginning, I say that I reject this finance bill. Madam Speaker, the reason as to why I'm saying I'm rejecting the finance bill, not just rejecting partially, but in totality. Because, Madam Speaker, this is a finance bill that from the onset, there is always increased taxation, item by item, detail by detail, up to the end. I want to say, Madam Speaker, because I recognize that we were advised by the Honorable Speaker Wetangula that we can present our contributions based on linkages, based on our opinions, based on the budget, and based on the finance bill that is current on the table. Madam Speaker, I want to say that as Kenyans, first and foremost, we were disappointed with the presentation that was given by the MPS Treasury. Madam Speaker, I want to say that Kenyans keenly listened to how revenue was going to be generated to fix what is proposed in the budget. Madam Speaker, I want to say that Kenyans were left shocked because what was proposed, one of the things was we raised revenue because we want to sort out our pending bills. Madam Speaker, it is on the floor of this House that we were told that we have to wait for consolidation of the pending bills in this country by October. For that reason, Madam Speaker, I reject even the reason as to why we are increasing the taxes so that we can foot our pending bills. Madam Speaker, I want to say that this House, the leaders must rise up and support. And I want to ride on the presentation by MP Honorable Sylvia, who said that personally she does not understand what a finance bill is. I want to say that even yesterday we know that our colleagues were invited at State House. I thought they were going to make meaningful contributions, Madam Speaker, and give contribution as to why they think they are under siege in the respective constituencies where they come from. Madam Speaker, I want to register in this House that we share as colleagues, but the kind of issues that we are saying that we are relying, there's me of this other side of the opposition, is relying on social media. Why did they choose to act, Madam Speaker, on the social media by telling us along the corridors that all the things you were arguing about, we have dropped? Madam Speaker, that was bread issue. Madam Speaker, the taxation of the motorcycle, which means they are also conflicting and contradicting what they are saying, Madam Speaker. Why did they also choose to act on the issues of social media? Why did they choose to respond to the Fourth Estate? Madam Speaker, I want to say that public participation needs to be redefined in this House. Yesterday, when we watched over the television, Madam Speaker, I saw a desperate minority whip. That is, I saw a desperate Honorable Whip Osoro, when he was very desperate of trying to convince Kenyans and deeply thinking on how taxation on bread has been dropped, on how taxation of motorcycles have been dropped. I saw a desperate and so much a person who is under pressure. Madam Speaker, I want to say that we must stand firm on the floor of this House and rise beyond numbers. Issues of numbers does not arise when we are talking about finance bill. Madam Speaker, I want to say that finance bill 2023 can equally be applicable on this budget that we want to appropriate. Madam Speaker, I want to say that there must be progression on how we generate our taxes. Madam Speaker, private sectors, I wish you gave me 1 more minute, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have valid points. Kindly, I'm requesting for 1 minute, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much. Being a woman speaker, you know very well the problems we have. I've transversed in these industries. Private sectors are key. If they migrate from this country, we must take care of their interests. When we talk about zero rating, we go to standard rating. We are talking of exempt. The final sufferers are consumers. President Yoweri Museveni said that Kenyans must learn to produce and manufacture their raw materials. Where is this in finance bill?
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Alego Usonga, Honorable Samuel Atandi.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to make a few observations. Madam Speaker, the anchor document that the finance bill draws its contents and which we passed in this House is known as budget strategy paper, medium-term budget strategy paper. Madam Speaker, that document, if you look at it, it is anchored on two important principles. The first principle is that the budget document needs to be predictable. The budget document needs to be predictable. The finance bill needs to be predictable. It also needs to be certain. The reason why this is anchored in this document is because, Madam Speaker, investors and businessmen, when they want to do business in a country, they must be certain that the tax laws that will prevail are long-term and that they are able to allow them to plan their businesses. Madam Speaker, before I joined Parliament, I used to work in the banking sector. And Madam Speaker, we could engage business people and we help them to draw strategies for business. One of the things that we look for when we are doing this, Madam Speaker, is that how will the tax environment obtain in the next 2, 3, 4 years? Madam Speaker, if you look at this tax bill, if you look at this finance bill,
Madam Speaker, we just did finance bill last year. And even before the businesses take advantage of the finance bill which we enacted, the incentives which we provided, shortly we have a new finance bill which is overturning those benefits. Madam Speaker, this is the reason why, Madam Speaker, I want to oppose this finance bill, because it is taking away the benefits that we gave to businessmen just the other day and taking them away. Madam Speaker, for instance, a tax like import declaration fee. In the last finance bill, we had lowered this tax because we realized that there are so many raw materials which our companies need, our industries need, which we must import. Now, in this finance bill, that tax has been raised by 1%. Honorable Speaker, this is going to hurt the manufacturing sector. I have heard many members claim that this finance bill is good for manufacturing sector. It is not, because the raw materials which we are going to rely on to produce, and this country does not produce a lot of raw materials, we are going to import them at a high fee. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, there are some taxes that have been introduced, such as VAT on financial services. Honorable Speaker, only 14% of Kenyans are enjoying banking services. In most African countries and developed countries, you find that about 50% of citizens are enjoying banking services. Now, if we introduce 16% VAT on financial services, Honorable Speaker, you are telling many Kenyans not to enjoy banking services. This is going to be a serious drawback in our campaign to have many Kenyans get banked. But Honorable Speaker, this also applies to the new tax which we are introducing on mobile money transfer. Honorable Speaker, there's a tendency for this House to continue to tax money transfer services. Last year, the excise tax on money transfer services was 15%. We are trying to raise it to 20%. Honorable Speaker, we need to realize that just sending money is not really production. So if we continue to tax people because they are using money, mobile transfer services, it is very unfair. Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, one of the reasons why we do not meet our tax targets is because of something we call taxpayer morale. Honorable Speaker, the reason why somebody will willingly pay tax is because if their morale is boosted. This bill does not boost taxpayer morale, and I foresee a situation where taxpayers will refuse to pay their taxes. And this is happening, Honorable Speaker. If you go to KRA, the officers in KRA are merely collecting bribes because taxpayers are refusing to pay tax. They rather keep the tax, and when officers of KRA go, they bribe them. So, Honorable Speaker, we need to have a tax regime that promotes taxpayers to have morale so that they can willingly pay tax. Otherwise, Honorable Speaker, I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Atandi. Mary Mase. Honorable members, if you have spoken, please log out. Oundo, you have spoken, you are still on the screen. Otienda Mola has spoken, is still on the screen. You block other members from appearing on the screen. You've logged out now, thank you. Mary Mase.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I've been queuing since morning. I thought you had forgotten that I'm here. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, I want to appreciate the chairman of the Finance Committee, Kimani Kuria, and his entire team for a meticulous job. The manner in which you have handled the making of the finance bill is indeed commendable. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, Article 221 of the Constitution and Section 39(2) of the Public Finance Management Act, Cap 4 and 2, and the Standing Order 235, subsection 5, provided for the execution of the estimates of revenue and expenditure, and underline revenue. Honorable Speaker, this process is not complete until the passage of the appropriations bill. And the passage of the appropriations bill is not possible without the execution of the finance bill. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it's against that backdrop that we are discussing the finance bill which speaks to the revenue-raising measures, without which we shall have no budget. What we adopted are just estimates. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to commend the Finance Committee because they followed the due process. Once the proposals on the finance bill were submitted to this House and committed to the Finance Committee, they had to subject the finance bill proposals from National Treasury to public participation. And therefore, to hear colleagues allege that why has government now decided to bring amendments this late, or to demystify the notion that the Finance Committee were pressurized. Honorable Speaker, the Finance Committee had to listen to Kenyans, get the views of the Kenyans before recommending amendments to the finance bill. Honorable Speaker, we are here as representatives of the people. We are the watchdog. We are the ones to oversight the executive. That is why when the executive proposes anything, it cannot just be passed. There is a committee that does the scrutiny, the review, they have to discuss, they have to do public participation, then make recommendations to amend and bring to this House for all of us to adopt. They do that on our behalf. So, Honorable Speaker, I know it's been a difficult time, not just for Kuria and his team, but the entire House. We have received threats, blackmail, attacks on social media. Reject the bill. Reject the bill. And I want to ask one question here, Honorable Speaker. Allow me use an analogy of a bag of banana or a bag of potatoes. If you have a bag of potatoes and there are 10 or 15 rotten potatoes in that bag, are you going to throw away the whole bag of potatoes because of the 15 rotten ones? Or you are going to remove the 15 rotten ones and throw them away and carry the rest of the bag to the kitchen and prepare a delicious meal? Honorable Speaker, I am here to represent the people of Teso South. They have given me the mandate to represent them. They have needs. So I will support the bill as amended. The committee has removed 2.5 tax on motor vehicles. The committee has removed 16% on edible oil. The committee has removed some of the most contentious proposals that Kenyans did not agree with. They are proposing to remove, and we will be passing them during the time.
Hold on, Emase. Irene Mayaka, what is the problem?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, this is something that I've just noted from my senior, who I respect a lot, and other members. We are not talking about the bill as amended. The bill has not yet been amended. It is the report that is introducing amendments to the bill. So we need to be very clear on that particular fact so that we do not mislead Kenyans.
She's actually not out of order because I heard her say the committee has proposed.
But
what did she say? No, no order.
Yeah.
If that's what you said, Mary, you are out of order. No bill has been amended, but there's a proposal from the committee to amend the bill. So you have two documents. The bill as is, the committee report with various proposals, including those amendments. So if you want to talk about changes in the bill, talk of proposals, because we have no amendments yet.
Honorable Speaker, I mean proposed amendments that the committee has recommended as per this report. And Honorable Speaker, allow me point to one. Yes, thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I'm saying that the committee has made proposed amendments to the finance bill. The way it was originally, I won't agree with Kenyans. There were proposals that were contagious that we must deal away with. So I will support with the proposed amendments, and in particular, I want to respond to one proposed a VAT on financial services, on internet, which was going to affect especially the Gen Zs that you're talking about, the hustlers who are the students in universities. The proposal to remove that, to delete that proposed tax is indeed commendable.
Dr. James Nyikal.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I really appreciate.
Order, Nguna, what is the problem?
Mr. Speaker.
CNN, what is the problem? Hold on, Nyikal. Yes, CNN.
Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes.
I've been here since 9:30. And from the screen, it is clear I'm the one who is supposed to speak after Mary Masse. But anyway, let me be
Take your
patient.
seat.
I hope I'll be the next.
Take your seat. The discretion remains the chair, but let me also tell you, if there's a member who sits here longer than any other, it's Dr. Nyikal.
BBC will...
He sits here from the beginning. The speaker finds him here. The speaker leaves him here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to oppose the Finance Bill 2024. Mr. Speaker, this has been the most canvassed bill since I came to this parliament. It has been canvassed and the committee has met with professional